shoot, man. Split decision, man. Get that out of here, man. Anyways, Keith Thurman, he's now the unified welterweight champion after taking the WBC belt from Garcia. So he has the WBA and WBC belt now. Took him in a lopsided split decision. See, that don't even sound right. That's because it should have been a unanimous decision. But anyways, Thurman, he did exactly what I thought he would do. He showed to Danny that, I'm the better skilled fighter and I can hurt you at any time. But knowing the type of fighter that Thurman is also, he wasn't going to take that crazy risk. And he was just there to put on a skilled, tactical fight against somebody like Danny Garcia, because this is a big fight. At the same time, it's still boxing, so you don't want to go crazy in there. I mean, Thurman, he's more of a mental fighter anyway. And by mental, I don't mean crazy. He's more of a think first and then react. Don't care what the crowd thinks, just commit to what you're doing. And remember, it's boxing. I mean, a lot of fighters don't like to admit that they take that page out of Mayweather's book that winning is important. And, you shouldn't take that crazy risk if you're already comfortably ahead. And Thurman was comfortably ahead. So, again, I don't know why it was a split decision. But Danny, I give it to him. He's a strong fighter. He had a good chin, good movement whenever he decided to use it. But Danny never fought an opponent that commits like Keith Thurman, which is why I said in my last video, looking at his last five opponents just never committed to trying to beat him. Even the guys that, kind of came up short, controversially. Lamont Peterson, I felt, did give Danny Garcia his first loss, but, I can see why the judges maybe did give it to him because of the slow start in the beginning. But, Thurman, he's the opposite. He starts early. He had a really good conditioning and stamina in this fight to make sure he finished it strong. So I'll talk about it a little bit. First half of the fight, Thurman, he came out strong. He was welcoming Danny to the division for sure. He was throwing bombs, landing those bombs. He was really trying to get him out of there. He rocked Danny a few times too. But Danny's chin held up. He was kind of swaying a little bit, but he stayed in there and started, looping some of his own punches, landing them. Danny, I have to say though, man, he has a good jab, but he just doesn't use it enough. And he just didn't use it enough in this fight, because there was a part in round one whenever Thurman came in and he kind of stopped Thurman in his tracks. Danny, he kind of threw that jab and it stopped Keith in his tracks. And there's a few more times wherever Thurman would come in, he would just kind of stick it out there and it would kind of slow Thurman down a little bit. But I think Danny wasted more times trying to knock him out or trying to knock him out with a body shot. But, that you just can't go by what somebody else did, thinking that the body's going to be the only target. Thurman, he just continued to land those speedy power shots. He's landing his right hand at will. You could see in Danny's face around like 4 or 5 that he had that look like, I got my hands full now. You could tell he was really starting to not worry, but really trying to think that, how am I going to beat this guy? Second half, that's kind of where Keith really went into boxing mode. He kind of abandoned that point of trying to take Garcia out. He started using his legs more and started putting that clinic on him a little bit. I say Danny maybe got 2 rounds out of the second half, 8 or 9, was it 9 or 10? That's whenever Keith kind of took some time off, wasn't as active, and Danny's punch output kind of went up, and he started to land a little bit more to the body. But championship rounds, Keith had it sealed, and he knew that, so he just kind of stayed on his legs and made a little quick, pick it off, little pot shots here and there. Nothing really big, but enough to take those rounds. But I think that maybe that the judges, they didn't like the movement, or one of the judges didn't like the movement, so he said, I'm going to score these for Danny, and tried to give Danny the fight. But I had it 9 rounds to 3, and maybe 8 to 4 at most, but I just don't really see how it was split decision, and I don't really know what that judge was looking for with all those other rounds that Thurman had in the bank. I know he moved around towards the end, but that was still ring generalship because he was controlling Danny. And still controlling the pace because a lot of the times Danny would just kind of walk him, not really walk him down, just chasing. He wasn't really catching up to him and landing anything. He was just kind of busy going through those motions. I mean, there's not much else to say. There's not really an argument you could put up that Danny won the fight to me. I mean, Danny did good. He was able to land a few times, but he wasn't really able to take too many rounds. I just think that Thurman was the better boxer tonight and the better puncher. But anyways, let's talk about who next. For Keith, he's had two big fights now, Porter and Garcia. So maybe a defense against somebody like Lamont Peterson, who's kind of on his way back up. But not the Brooks Spence winner yet. I feel like that fight is really big, just as big as the other fights, and maybe just to kind of save the wear and tear that Thurman, he should just take a little break and fight somebody, who's on their way back up also, and just kind of take a stay busy fight or take Peterson, because I'd rather see that fight be built up, Brooks Spence, that the winner of that fight, because I don't even think Thurman should fight the winner of that fight until maybe next year, just to kind of build it up, because I like to see Thurman defend his belts maybe once or twice to prove he deserves it, and then have Brooks Spence, that winner, defend their belt maybe once or twice till they prove they deserve it even more so, and then they just kind of meet at the top. But yeah, because I mean, there's really no rush. I mean, these guys aren't going nowhere. So the undisputed crown, I know that's what Thurman wants. So just have them meet at the top, build it up, and then meet there. But anyways, I don't really think there's any. I don't really think that. Well, I'll get to that part in a minute. But as for Danny, I'd like to see him in there with somebody like Luis Collazo or Jesse Vargas or Tim Bradley. He just needs some more solid welterweights on his belt to gain that experience in this division. I mean, since he can't make 140, he has to go back in there with a guy like that, like Bradley or Collazo. Collazo, he's making his little sneaky comeback too, so that would be a good test for him. So wants to prove he's in this division, go back and fight one of those, stronger guys, and that'll prove he's still in the running. Maybe late summer he should fight Porter, the Porter-Berto winner, or the loser of that fight. Maybe he should take one of them on, because I would like to see him fight Sean Porter at some point, just to see if he can handle the pressure. And let me see, either or. I remember he was in talks before to fight Andre Berto. That fight would be good also. So either one of those fights would be good for him. Again, going back to what I was saying, there's really nobody can look past in this division right now. It's almost like the light heavyweight division. A lot of good names, a lot of strong fighters. So there's not just one top guy anymore like when Floyd was here. It's just too many guys right now, and there's still a fight for welterweight supremacy. So this Thurman-Garcia fight didn't really prove who was the best in the division. It just proved that, who was the other champion right now. Because they still have to unify to prove who's the best. Because, Danny Garcia, again, he's not a natural welterweight. So from here, Thurman, he's going to have to take on somebody like Brooks Spence winner to prove that he is the top dog at 147. But yeah, there's so many good fights at welterweight happening. I know a lot of people don't like Manny and Amir fighting, but I think that fight's going to be good. I'm going to probably do a video talking about that. But let me backtrack a little bit. There was a non-televised fight, Fonfara and Dawson. I know Dawson was stopped in like 10 rounds by Fonfara. And I really, just say congratulations to Fonfara, but also that, it's sad that it kind of ended that way for Dawson, because I think Dawson was kind of ahead in the fight, and he was pretty game until, he took one of those right hands to the chin, and it seemed like he wanted to get up, but the referee stopped the fight. And from here, I just got to say that, if he can't beat somebody like Fonfara, it might be time to hang it up for Dawson. I mean, he was one of my favorite fighters, when he was coming up. He had a really good skill, but just since then, he's just kind of gone down after those knockout losses, Stevenson and Ward. But, yeah, that's pretty much what I say about these fights. There's pretty good fights on this past Saturday. David Hay and Bellew also. That was a crazy upset. Now I heard that Bellew was trying to call out Wilder. I don't know if that's a rumor or not. But from here, Hay, I don't know if he has was it a leg problem or ankle problem. It's looking like he should hang it up because I saw some highlights of that fight and he really looked sluggish in that fight. Hands look kind of fast, but he just didn't really look into it. But yeah, that's all I have to say about those fights. If you like these videos, just subscribe to my channel, and I'll probably be back with another video later. So I'll see you guys later.